You might wonder this question at least once in trying to learn how to draw. Why don't my drawings look real? In this video, I am going to discuss some reasons for why you might be finding yourself asking this question and some solutions to make your art look more realistic. The first problem you might have with your work is inaccurate proportions. Having accurate proportions to the subject you are drawing is very important in your drawing looking realistic. Certain details and features of subjects do need to be close to being precise, or your subject could end up looking like a cartoon or misshapen. Now, how to draw more proportionally accurate is easier said than done, but with practice you can improve over time. Now, keep in mind though that everyone learns at their own pace, and some methods of learning to draw will work better for one person, but maybe not the next. The goal for you is to try and find a way that is best for you to practice and learn with. To help yourself draw more accurately, specifically sketches, because that is the start of your drawing being realistic before you fill it all in, there is a handy tool called a proportional divider. I have a link to this tool in the description. This tool will really help you with being able to draw very proportionate sketches in drawings. There are a couple of ways to use it. One is to size up or down a still life or reference photo that you may be looking at. You just adjust the thing in the middle, I have no idea what it's called, move it to the smaller end to measure for a small reference, and get your drawing to a much larger proportion. Move it to the larger ends and you can get a smaller measurement for your drawing. The goal is to be able to measure out the proportions for the size of the drawing you are doing and where you want to place it. Begin with getting a few outside measurements to test if you have your drawing the size you want it to be before you go about measuring all of the other details like eye and nose placements. Be sure to measure the distances between some areas of your subject from others so that they are as close to the distances that they need to be from one another. You can also use it to measure the distance of a specific area of your reference and then check how accurate it is on your drawing. This may seem very simple, but it is actually very handy to do. I do check the proportions of all my drawings if I feel something is off, just to make sure I can correct any proportional mistakes along the way in my drawing process. Even if I get things right with my sketches, I can always make some mistakes when filling it in, and fill in too much in any one direction of where my original sketch was, especially with smaller drawings. Another problem you might have for your drawings not looking realistic is not getting your values as accurate as they need to be. You can mess up in a number of areas with your drawings or draw with very little detail, but if your values are off, it is the biggest reason why your drawings won't look realistic. You need to make sure that your lights are as light as they need to be, making sure that you have adequate highlights, and of course your shadows as well. It is very important that your shadows are as accurate as possible to get the best effect of realistic looking drawings. As you are building your drawing, doing your techniques, building layers, you should be periodically checking your values to see how accurate you are all the way through your entire drawing process until your drawing is finished. And then after you think you are finished with it, check your values again and spend some time trying to see any mistakes that you made and correct them. Adjusting your values with fur can be more complicated because there are often different values involved to build the structures of fur, as well as building the values and shape of the animal that you're drawing. Before you even begin your drawings, you should pick some colors or values so you can get yourself more into the habit of using enough values in your drawings. For colored pencils, I recommend picking a couple shadow colors that are not black. Black is not a color, it is a shade. Pick a few mid-tone colors as well, and colors for highlights, but not white. White is a shade, not a color. Now, these colors you pick may be colors you have to mix to get the color necessary, or specific pencils that may already be the color that you need. For graphite or pencil, use a 2H as a highlight value, a 2B for midtones, and a 4B and 8B for shadows. If you can better pick the colors or values that you need for your drawing before you begin, you are already getting it into your mind to use them in your drawing. And for more help with picking colors for colored pencils, when you finish watching this video, I have a link in the description to a video I've done on ways to choose colors. The next problem you might have with your drawing not looking real is the techniques you may be doing. There are different ways of drawing, and not all of them are necessarily a wrong way to do it, but definitely some may be better than others. Try experimenting different ways of doing your drawings through the different stages it takes to get you to your finished drawing. You will learn some ways that don't work so great with making mistakes along the ways, and you'll learn some ways that work better, possibly some that may work better for you than others because we all have our different way of doing things. One of the biggest mistakes I tend to see with the techniques of other artists is focusing too much on trying to draw every detail and thinking about the subject and anatomy of the subject too literally. And by this I mean getting an idea that you know what fur looks like. If I draw a bunch of lines, that's fur, or drawing a dog's mouth and putting the teeth and tongue in there when you really wouldn't be able to see them. Drawing a dog's upright ear in a triangle shape and then trying to somehow work fur into it. When you think about the actual object you are trying to draw, you set yourself up to fail, in my opinion. If you want to really learn how to draw realistically, then you need to start thinking about the shapes you see and completely remove your mind from the subject you are drawing. Like, say for example, you're drawing a wolf. Don't get it into your mind, oh, I know what a wolf looks like and how to draw fur, I'm going to draw a wolf. Instead, focus on one specific area at a time, like its leg, and isolate all the different shapes, the highlight shapes, the midtones, and shadow shapes. Get that specific area of shapes done, take a step back and compare it to your still life or reference photo. Figure out how close you have your values, and only then allow yourself to remember what it is you are actually drawing, a wolf. Getting into different techniques to drawing, now that's a pretty expansive subject. There are lots of different ways to do things like pencil strokes, layering, blending, and planning out how you plan to work through the processes of your drawing, and a lot of it can be learned just from practicing, as well as watching some tutorials to learn some new techniques, maybe that you hadn't even thought of before. Like for instance, I offer 1 to 15 hour beginner and advanced real-time drawing tutorials of wildlife and pets, where you can learn lots of different techniques to drawing with colored pencil, graphite, and soft pastel. You will learn the entire processes to my drawings, blending, layering, strokes, and tool use, as well as learning how to fix mistakes you make through the drawing process, because I make mistakes too. You can sign up at patreon.com/Jessica Matheny, which will give you instant access to a growing library of tutorials with new ones added every month. I'll have a link to my Patreon in the video description. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.